In this video, we've got a customer coming in who's currently got Borresen X1 monitor speakers, and he's got the upgraded. What do you think his next upgrade will be?
Nice to meet you, I'm Josh. Yeah.
So today we're going to be demoing on the Aavik 588 series component. We've got the SD 588 feeding the integrated 588.
So I jumped in and learned how to, I learned sound. I did it for 25 or 30 years.
Nice.
Damn.
That's impressive.
And actually, when I was younger, I back then the Borresen and clips were it.
Yeah.
And of course I couldn't afford that. But I had, and I don't know, I kind of got away from listening to music. I mean, you got to be a job. Yeah. And then you got the kids at Disney and
I
don't know,
priorities
it just kind of went away, and I probably saw y'all weren't in the city and just kind of blew it off.
Well,
and these people in Baltimore got back with me, and I bought some stuff there. I went up and sat there and listened to Soundstage biggest rig, but I think it was their second biggest, largest, and I sat there. And I experienced the Soundstage for the first time, and in my life, I'm like, this is crazy. I got addicted right then and right there. And right now, I bought those X1s, and just listening to them, I enjoyed the lows and the highs. The mids just weren't happening for me. To me, they were kind of lifeless. Whenever you were, if you listen to somebody like Greg Allman, who can't, his gravelly voice or something, but to me, my ears was like a female voice or something like that. It just wasn't, that area just wasn't happening for me.
Well, we'll play a few different models and compare them. Yeah, it could just be the way they're set up in your space. That's possible, and I'm happy to.
It's possible. It's just like I listened to some BMWs, and I didn't like their mid-range either. The mid-range was to me, it was like 2.5K was kind of squealing.
Yeah, very forward.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, well, we'll see what we can, what kind of music we can get here. This is the setup we'll be listening to today. We've got the X1s in place to start, and then we can move on to the C1s, which are back there in white. And if you want to hear the T1s, we can play those too.
Mid-range.
Yeah, I was just not. I was good. It was the mid-range was just dull to me.
Yeah, I'd be careful what you read on the internet. I'll just leave it at that, and then I'll explain to you. Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube reviews. Maybe you've seen Aaron's Audio Corners, forums. We have a slogan. We've been doing this a long time too, like you at your business. We have a slogan: trust your ears.
Creeping, left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain long, narrow streets of cobblestone, people talking without speaking, people hearing.
So the story of Borresen, right? Like when people try to measure a Borresen speaker, it's a little bit like saying, hey, the Mona Lisa didn't use the right color of paint, right? Like what? It's an artist's interpretation, right? So you never want to approach purchasing an amplifier or a speaker with how it measures, because when you get to this level, it's artistry. So either you like how the amplifier sounds, or you like how the speaker sounds, or you don't. And there's no wrong answer. If someone doesn't like it, no problem. But why we love it is, before we started in business 20 years ago, I was in a similar position as you. I was, listening, trying gear, demoing gear, buying gear, selling gear, and then I came across this gentleman in the late 90s, early 2000s, who was starting to build an iteration of this loudspeaker. And at the time it was called a C1.0, and it was a very crude version of this, and it was using very exotic materials. And I learned more about them, and there are these artists from Denmark, and I was like, wow, you guys know a lot about speaker build. Like, this just really speaks to me. And it's, Michael, the owner of the company, said, of course, Denmark invented the dynamic driver 80 some years ago. So of course we know a little bit about speaker building. And there wasn't even a real company back then, Bobby. But I followed these guys, and of course we have other great brands like Focal and Macintosh. But I was always really impressed by these Danish guys that now own a company called Audio Group Denmark. And so when they actually had a product that we could actually sell and bring into the U.S., my wife and I jumped on the opportunity. Going, you know, we go to shows, we listen to every product, hundreds of rooms, and for us, the artwork that we like to listen to, there's nothing like this. And so that's how, and you know, what started out as a couple guys that know the industry in and out, now, you know, they're the fastest growing company in hi-fi, right? They have over 60 employees in just the last 8 years.
You know, I've heard a lot of that. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like I said, I'm kind of, I don't know, man, I sit there on YouTube and it goes back from the news to audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the
What's
buzz.
happening in Venezuela? What's happening in Chicago? Think about it. These songs that I've been listening to for 50 years, I'm going, I've never heard that before. You're hearing it a whole different way. Like, you know, like that's, you know, that's where I got. That's where I got addicted. You know, my wife.
We-
You know, last year it was your boat. Now.
Well, this doesn't take as much gas, I guess.
Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain.
What I hear from these, well, in particular, what I notice first is just a lot more resolution on the top end, personally. But they also have a bigger scale. They can play louder and bigger than the X1s as well. Yeah.
Watching you go.
There is not another monitor on the planet that can do that kind of stuff.
That's, you know, that's crazy.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, you want to play vocals? Sure. You want to play crazy techno smoke? Sure. You want to play blues? Sure. There's not another monitor in the world that can do that. And we can do it even better. If you want, we got T's, we got M's.
Well, the thing about it is I got a daughter getting married in May.
Okay. So you don't want to go too crazy.
Yeah. Message received.
I didn't start out to get all the audiophile. It's just all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I've got, I kind of pretty much, you know, I've kind of ran that business like 45 years, and all of a sudden, you know, kind of worked my ass off, and then all of a sudden I've got people kind of doing it for me, and all of a sudden there's a little money. You know,
Suddenly time and money.
After all those years, the kids are done their thing, and
I get it.
and so that's kind of how I jumped into it. It's like, as far apart as the speakers are, isn't it supposed to be an equilateral triangle? So
That's real common, equilateral triangle.
I'm just trying to figure out. It seems like
Yeah.
the couch should be further back.
This is where we typically end up when we're setting up the speakers. It's not a hard and fixed rule.
Right.
You can be further away or closer.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah. So we usually kind of end up around like a 9 to 10 ratio. So like say, if these were 10 feet apart, you would be 9 feet away from each tweeter. And that's generally what sounds pretty good to us. So it gives you a nice big soundstage, big image. And since you're kind of close to the speakers, it takes the room out of the equation somewhat. So you're hearing more of the sound coming direct from the speakers than you are the reflections after the fact. Footprint of this speaker is a little bit bigger than the X1, so the shelf needs to be bigger. But also this comes with 3 Darkz that you put in the stand, and they separate the speaker and the stand, and it's all about resonance control, mechanically decoupling the two. It's another way of reducing noise, but in this case it's mechanical noise. What color C1s are you interested in, black or white?
Probably black. The ones I have are white or white, but probably black. The C1 to me, it was just, man, I'm infatuated with the, like I said, the soundstage. First time I listened to newer speakers, the soundstage, to me it sounded lighter. I did notice, you know, it was a little clearer, and I noticed the mid-range was the mid-range defines the speaker, because that's where a lot of the vocals come from, and where the low end you get a lot of drums and highs from, you know, drums of that nature. The vocals and a lot of the instrument vocal stuff does come from the mid-range, and so if the mid-range isn't happening, to me the speaker's not happening.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Today, Bobby's going to be going home with a brand new pair of C1 speakers in black finish, as well as an Aavik all-in-one player. We've got a whole bunch more content coming at you, so stay tuned. But please do let us know in the comments what kind of content you would like to see next. And don't forget to like and subscribe.